Welcome to the Meat and Potatoes podcast. Today we're here with Jaron Erickson, who is the founder and CEO of SalesDojo. How are you?
Garrett, I'm doing good, man. I appreciate you guys having me on here. This is an awesome experience.
You bet. Thank you. I love the name. I'm surprised you could get it, SalesDojo.
Dude, we started out as SalesDojo.co, and $1,000 later we got the .com. So we got really lucky with
That's great.
domain names, and it's just kind of worked out well.
Very cool. Let's start with the founding story, and you can kind of weave in a little bit of your previous experience into SalesDojo. Where did the idea come from?
Yeah, good question. Even kind of building off the name, I can even tell you how we kind of settled on Dojo, but it actually all started when I started working at Divvy. So early on, I was going to school, and I didn't really have any idea what I wanted to study at school. I was a student athlete at UVU. I was running the hurdles, and I was studying business management, and I didn't really know where that was going to take me. And I started kind of having questions about my career, my future, and so typically, if I don't know what I'm doing, I'll go and talk to my dad. And I'm like, Dad, I have no idea what I want to study. I have no idea what I want to do with my life. And my dad at the time worked for a San Francisco-based tech company called Carta. And he kind of opened my mind. He's like, hey, Jerry, you should go work for one of these tech companies in Utah. Like, they have this huge tech scene. He's like, you should be a part of it. And my first response to my dad was like, I'm not really a computer guy, so I don't know if I'd really fit in the tech industry.
Mm-hmm.
And he kind of changed my perspective. Like, hey, you could do something customer facing, like sales.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, I didn't have any sales experience. I didn't have a degree. I didn't really have any of these things that I felt like I needed. But it's like, I don't think that really matters. You should go interview with some of these companies. And so I ended up asking, I was like, Dad, what are the top 2 tech companies in Utah? I'm going to go work for one of those companies. And he gave me 2 names. One of them was Divvy. And I started and I interviewed at Divvy, and I ended up getting hired. And I came in as this entry-level SDR. Again, no degree, no previous sales experience, no tech background. They just kind of took a chance on me, it felt like.
Mm-hmm.
But what happened was I came into Divvy, and I learned some amazing lessons. Like, one, you get paid really well in the tech industry, which is pretty great.
Mm-hmm.
But even more importantly than that was there's a lot of growth that can take place. And so I ended up kind of growing along with the company. So my first year, I ended up getting promoted 4 different times,
Mm-hmm.
just because Divvy's kept hiring more and more and more people. And all of a sudden, I'm making over 6 figures. I'm 22. And I just sit there going, I love what I do, but why don't more people do this?
Yeah.
Like, why did I not even know this was a possibility when I was going to school? And the only reason I knew that I could go work in the tech industry because my dad, inside my house, said I should go do it. I was like, what about all of these other people that drive past these businesses and think that they're inaccessible?
Yeah.
I was like, how can we help more people get into these same types of jobs? So I ended up leaving Divvy after their acquisition to Bill. Had a little bit of stock, which was nice.
Yeah.
And came back, ended up starting Dojo to try to help more people gain access to those same types of jobs. And so that's our biggest goal, is we want to see people get into these tech companies. I think one of the best ways to do it is through sales. And our goal is to really change people's lives.
Well, I love it. We'll talk a little bit about that because I have a good example, and I'm sure you've got hundreds, if not more at this point. It helps to know Jeff Erickson, right?
It does help to know him.
He's very, very well connected, and he's always got a smile on his face, and I think he's always somebody that's looking to help people, which is rare, very rare. So
Yeah, I would say, like, it's been cool having him be my dad because a lot of people know him. So I do make a lot of connections, but it's not just my dad who's looking to help other people. There's this community that you guys have built within Silicon Slopes that looks out for other entrepreneurs. And I think my dad felt that early on. And I was telling you, I've been to Silicon Slopes events for the past 5 years. I came when I was just back from my LDS mission and figuring out what I was doing with school. I'd been at these events, And my dad has been a part of this community for so long that he's really helped me see the power that can come through it.
Yeah.
So everything that we've done or accomplished through Dojo so far, like I would love to say it's just me out there kicking butt.
Yeah.
But what it really is, it's a community of people that have saw our mission of trying to give back and help other people be successful and have bought in and really encouraged us or connected us in different ways. And so Silicon Slopes has been really crucial and vital in helping us get to where we are right now.
Good. Very good. You mentioned an acronym already, SDR. For those that don't know what that means, what is it?
SDR or BDR or whatever you want to call it stands for Sales Development Rep,
Okay.
which is an entry-level position in a tech company where you're typically reaching out to other businesses and setting appointments for your account executives to close. I think it's one of the best ways to get into the tech industry. It pays really well. There's a lot of growth associated with that role, and it can lead to some pretty cool opportunities.
Yeah. So like a lot of these tech and tech-enabled companies, right? Like it's just not pure SaaS and fintech. There's a lot of folks that are selling. They need to go quick or they'll implode generally, right? And so there's a lot of folks now, I don't know, calling, emailing, but it's a science and an art, right? But ultimately, like there's usually some sort of funnel, right? If somebody would get up on it with a whiteboard, they'd be like, we're going to cast a wide net and it's going to get thinner type of thing, right? So what was your experience like as the entry level, kind of teeing things up for those that may have been around for 20 years or even 2, it sounds like, right? Like pretty
Yeah.
rapid progression.
100%. I think most of the people we worked with had a lot quicker progression than maybe some are used to. Like the tech industry, they move quick.
Yeah.
Like you raise money, it's like pouring fuel on the fire.
Yeah.
And things start to really escalate and ramp up. But coming in, like I love the role because it's tough. Like it is a tough role. Like you're doing cold outreach, you're talking to people who don't know who you are, don't know what you do, and probably don't want to talk to you.
Mm-hmm.
But that skill set, if you can develop that, that will carry with you for the rest of your career. So I think the SDR position is one of the best learning grounds you can be a part of, where you're going to be pushed. You're going to learn new skills that are going to be essential for you moving up the ladder.
Yeah.
And so I think the best make it through, and sometimes some don't make it. Sometimes people don't like it. But if you can make it through, again, it just opens up so many possibilities. If you want to go into closing roles, or if you want to go into partnerships or work with current clients,
yeah,
a lot of doors can open for you if you can make it through being an SDR.
Yeah, for sure. It's kind of a little bit of a hazing slash ritual. And I've had a lot of friends over the years where like, I hate this, but I'm going to work hard and do my best, meet the numbers, not get canned. And then they end up in marketing or HR even, right? Like if you've got a trustworthy person that puts in a great effort every day and others in complete different departments can see that, the door's already half open, right? You're already in and you can slide through. And then I've had others where they're like, I love this. It's fun. I actually like it. And the path to victory is like pretty clear at that point, right? You're going to end up leading a smaller team and then a medium team and a bigger team. And you're going to start to be involved in the doctrine of selling this particular service and product. And again, like sometimes it's like, wait, last time we were playing golf, you were just starting. And now, a couple of years later, you're in charge of a lot of things. It's pretty cool.
100%. I've seen my friends that stayed at Divvy. We all came in as SDRs, and now a lot of them are senior account executives, and they got to be making some really good money.
Sure.
So it's really cool to just see the growth, I think, and the progression. We have a lot of people that will come through the program, and I can even talk a little bit more about the type of people we work with. I thought it'd be a lot of people like me.
Yeah.
Well, I'm getting into my career. I don't really know what to do. Like, I want to get into tech. And yes, we do work with a lot of people in those categories, but I also work with a lot of people who have finished school, who have been in the workforce for 3, 4, 5 years, and they've hit a cap.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no more growth for them in their career path, and they're stuck. and they say, hey, I work harder than everybody else. I'm not getting paid more than everybody else.
Yeah.
I want to be part of a progressing industry where I can even control a variable of my pay.
Yeah.
And so it's been amazing to see. We've worked with people with a lot of bachelor's degrees, even master's degrees have come through the program because they want to get into like a better place and a better job.
Yeah. And it's nice to have like these roadmaps where you can talk to a lot of people and say, what is your day like? What is your week like? Do you have a Christmas? Do you not have a Christmas? Right? Like you can have a good idea. And I assume that makes it a little bit easier for you guys to outline like what your program is and what you can promise and what you can semi-promise, and with the caveat being you got to really work hard and do well. So let's jump into. I love that the idea kind of from what I heard was I was lucky that I had my dad who's well connected, but like all these other people might look at these buildings or these logos and be like, oh, that's not for me. I love that it started out like that, but now you've got to like figure out what is the training modules and how long should it take and what should we teach? How did you go about figuring that out?
Yeah, great question. I think number one, just being in the role, you learn a lot. Like you learn what you need to know, what's the fluff, and you can say, hey, meat and potatoes.
Yeah.
And so a lot of the curriculum came one through like my own experience. My manager at Divvy played a big role. His name's Lee. And so he's a 3rd degree black belt in Taekwondo. So the name Sales Dojo kind of is a tribute to my manager from Divvy, because I would always tease him and I'd call him my sensei and give him a nice little bow every here and there. But he was instrumental in teaching me what it took to be a top performer. And so much of the curriculum that we've developed and used came through what he taught us at Divvy. And so being able to call it dojo in Japanese means like a place of learning. And that's what we've really wanted to create. We wanted to create a curriculum and an environment where you can come in, learn, make mistakes, and get better. And so with that, the curriculum coming from that experience, and we've also interviewed a lot of different tech companies and sales leaders. So we go and talk to their sales leaders and we say, hey, who are your top performers? What are they doing? And what do you want in someone that's going to come in and fill this SDR role? And so we've worked with both like a character side. We talk about the character development of how to structure your day, how to structure your life, how to overcome opposition. Because I think that's a big part of being an SDR. But we also talk about the hard skills that they need, whether it be like cold outreach over the phone, over email, over LinkedIn, how to manage pipeline, all of those things we really want to dive into. So curriculum has been developed through experience and through outreach to other companies.
Very cool. And that's kind of a 2 birds, 1 stone, because you're interacting with these folks that are kind enough to give you like how they do it and some of the tricks they've learned over the years. And then they probably end with, feel free to send us your best graduates, right?
That's the goal. I mean, it has been amazing, like some of the partners that we've been able to, like the partnerships we've built over the past 2.5 years.
Yeah.
And watching a student go into a high caliber company is one of the best feelings, because our goal is to change lives, but it's really the tech company and the culture that they've created that can change the life long term.
Yeah.
And so I think some of our favorite partners have been like Pluralsight, like watching how they take care of their employees, watching how all the benefits that they've been able to give students it is amazing. Their campus, I call it, at the point of the mountain, and seeing our grads go from, maybe working some dead end job to now having a career path at Pluralsight or a company like that. It's been pretty amazing.
Very cool. And we'll talk about some of the fun, cool stuff in a second, but let's talk a little bit more about your guys' model. So we've talked about the types of folks that can go through it. Seems like it's a very wide group of folks. What does it entail from kind of the start, hey, I'm interested, to graduation? What are they going to learn? How long does it take? What are their days like?
Yeah, great question. So what we've built is it's a 4-week program, and everything that we're doing with our program is done over Zoom. Big part of this is because, one, we want to be able to cater to people, but two, that's actually how I learned to be an SDR, because I worked at Divvy during COVID. And so we're 100% remote, and we ended up getting really good at being able to run remote sales teams and whatnot. And so 4-week program, everything's remote, but everything's done live. Like, there are a lot of different sales training companies out there, and I'm not saying we're the only one, but what we've seen is a lot of these companies are going to say, hey, watch this video, read this article, remember to do this. There's not a lot of application that takes place. So it's just like golf. We're talking about playing golf. It's like I can watch 100 golf videos on Instagram or TikTok.
Yeah.
But the only time I get better at golfing is when I go take my own swings.
Yeah.
So it's the exact same thing with sales. Like, you can read every book, you can listen to every podcast, which I totally encourage. But you need a ground where you can actually come in, practice, and apply the things you're learning.
Yeah.
And so with our 4-week program, we do live sessions in the evening where we're very interactive. So we have our curriculum we're going to learn, but we're also going to practice and apply those skills. We're going to make mistakes, we're going to get feedback, and we're going to improve.
Yeah.
And so what originally started out was like me teaching, which I love, and I'll teach a cohort every once in a while. We now actually contract with different VPs or directors of sales to come and teach. It's been pretty amazing that we have a lot of these high-end sales leaders that want to give back. They want to come and teach. They want to run a cohort because they want to see people get into tech. They've been SDRs, and they're like, I want to help change people's lives as well.
Yeah.
So our course is held from 5 to 6:30, that 90-minute block. And so a lot of times these sales leaders will come in after their 9 to 5 or whatever, put in another 90 minutes for 4 weeks each day. And of course, we try to pay them the best that we can. But it's been really cool to see them also buy in and want to help people and progress.
That's smart, because one person can't scale most things. So.
Yeah.
So how many folks are in these classes, sessions? What do you call them?
Yeah, so we call them cohorts.
Cohorts.
We do things a little different because we like working with a little bit smaller groups. So each cohort, we're going to keep it about 6 to 10 individuals. And the reason behind that is we want that one-to-one feedback with all of our students. So instead of just very broad teaching, like, hey, everybody, like, remember to say this. Like, everyone has specific skills that they're already good at, and everyone has things that they can probably improve on a little bit more.
Yeah.
And so from our instructor side, it's really good for us to be able to say, like, hey, Jimmy, you do this really well, but hey, let's try this, or let's tweak this, or change this.
Mm-hmm.
So we want to be very personalized in what we do because that allows us to see the most growth. But it also, pros and cons. We just like working in those type of smaller groups.
Very cool. And how many cohorts do you have going on at once?
We typically run 1 to 2 consecutively. So we are constantly running at least one per month. And then, we'll start to, if we have more students that are coming in during certain times of the year, then we'll bring on another instructor and we'll be good to go.
Okay. And what is the cost for folks that go through the program?
Yeah, good question. So originally, like when I started Dojo, my whole thought was, let's run a free course. Anyone can take it, and then we can like charge per hire, because a lot of companies will even just give you a referral fee internally if you refer someone over. But we're like, hey, we'll provide all the training, pretty much all their onboarding that they need, and we can just charge companies and keep a free course. Now, what we learned was, if you give someone something for free, they're going to treat it as if it's free or of no value. And so early on, we're teaching these courses, and like we got people missing class, or we got people taking class in the car. I'm like, what is going on? So we do charge the students to take the course because we want them to buy in to what they're about to do. And what we've seen is the second someone buys in, their growth has been exponential. And so I think from an outside perspective, it's really easy to look at it and say, oh, this is just trying to make money off students. No, this is us giving you a chance to commit to yourself and invest in yourself. Because if you're going to do this, we want you all in.
Yeah.
Now, our model is a little bit different because we use what's called a deferred tuition model. So the total cost of the course is $2,000 to take, but we only charge $500 up front. And with that, you come through the entire program, the entire course. Now, we're more than just a course. We're more than just like trying to teach someone how to do a job. Because after those 4 weeks, what happens is we've built a lot of partnerships over these 2.5 years of companies who reach out to us saying, hey, we would love to hire the graduates that come through this program. Like, we see that they have all the skills that we need. Plus, like, these are people who are hungry, who are committed, and who have gone above and beyond to be able to become an SDR. And so our goal is to be able to connect our graduates to this big network of partner companies where they're able to have opportunities to choose where they want to go at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So more than just that 4-week course, the whole purpose of that is to prepare students where we can give them options of places that they could go and potentially work and change their lives.
Very cool. Yeah, because all things being equal, like everyone's got kind of the same Sales Dojo training. Their personalities and their background and their experience are going to be better suited for certain companies and certain products. And if they actually like what they're selling, it probably makes it a lot easier. If it's just not money, if it's also enjoyment and fulfillment, and I actually believe or I use what I sell, I assume things are better.
100%. Yeah, we kind of we work with our partners on this as well. And like when we bring on a new partner, we tell them like, hey, look, we never tell anybody where to go.
Yeah.
Not like, hey, you should go here. That's just not how we work. But we teach our students or graduates to look for 3 things. The first is like, I want you to look at how much are you going to get paid? Like, obviously, that's important. And so we kind of give them a range of like, what's realistic and reasonable. We never want someone to get lowballed. So 1, what are you going to get paid? But above that, the other 2 is 2, what are my growth opportunities with this company?
Yeah.
So is it a track to AE? What does that track look like? Or is this company growing quickly? Is that something I can be a part of? Because that's what helped me at Divvy.
Yeah.
Was just being part of that fast growing company. So what are my growth opportunities? And then 3rd, who are my leaders?
Yeah.
What is the culture? Who am I going to be around? Because I think that piece for me is bigger than anything else.
Yeah.
Like, I would take a pay cut every day so I could be around the right leaders who could help connect me, could help teach me, train me. So it's cool to see partners step up to the plate as well.
Absolutely.
We want to be able to create a competitive marketplace where for students, like, they got to prove themselves. Like, these are high caliber companies and you got a lot of people that also want to get in. At the same time, it's like for companies, we want them to be on their A game. Like, come prove why you're such a great team and get someone who's just a rock star on board.
Perfect. It makes perfect sense. I actually have firsthand experience in watching this. My sister was going through a transition in life, which happens to most, and she needed to make decisions that for her future. And she was an intern here helping with whatever. This is a good generalist place where you can see how the sausage is made, because there's sales and there's marketing and there's graphic design, all of that here. Very small team, so kind of wear a lot of hats. And as she was here, she went through SalesDojo, and she asked me a few things about it, and I said I've never sold anything other than like sponsorships for Silicon Slopes, and as when I was a student venture capitalist, I was selling deals and things like that, but it's really not my shtick. But if they've kind of systematized it and taught you how to do it, then I think it's great. And she told me the price. I'm like, oh, for sure then. And she ended up getting a job, right, in sales. And it was really cool and life-changing, especially for her at that moment in time. And the progression, to your point, has been upward for her. So that's a massive deal. Like if you wanted to take credit for a small smidgen of GDP, right? Like her situation could have gone the opposite, but it's gone in the right direction, which only benefits her and her family. And it's kind of incredible how like quickly that was able to happen. I assume you've got all sorts of awesome, great stories, but kudos to you, at least personally. I was able to see it happen with my own eyeballs.
Well, I appreciate that, and your sister's a rock star, by the way.
Yeah, thank you.
It's been cool. Like, you know, we've had a lot of stories, but one of the things that I selfishly love about what we do and what we build is the type of people I get to be surrounded by. Like, to be honest, I don't care about past success and those types of things. I really care about where you're going and how badly you want it. Those are the people I love to be around. And a lot of the people we work with have gone through tough situations in the past.
Yeah.
Like issues with family, issues with being doubted, or even like opportunities that they feel like they deserved but never were given. And so these are the people that have been through sometimes way harder things than I've been through. And watching them choose to push themselves, overcome, and invest in who they want to be, it's impossible almost to not be better yourself. Because if you're constantly watching these people improve and overcome, you just go, I can do the same thing.
Yeah.
And so the stories have been so inspiring, and that's what's meant more to me than anything else. Is I think one of my biggest whys or purposes is I want to be the best version of myself.
Yeah.
Like I know what that looks like. I know what that feels like inside my head. I'm going to keep pushing for that. But the second why is I really want to be known as someone long-term that's helped other people become the best versions of themselves.
Yeah.
Because I feel like in order for me to be my best, I want to be able to help other people do the same. And they inversely are helping me the entire time. And so I've been so grateful for all of our graduates, for everyone who's overcome opposition or adversity. Those are the ones who inspire me. Those are the ones who pave the way for everybody else. Like all of our alumni are huge in creating a brand for Dojo. So I could not be more grateful for everyone that we've worked with so far.
That is so cool. It's fun to have a good business model, and it's fun to go through the tribulations that I'm sure you and your team have, like everybody else. But you guys have a really cool ending where there's smiles and improvements in people's lives, and not every company and project can say that. So kudos to you and your team on that one. As we sit here in Utah, small little market, there's a whole big wide world out there.
Yeah.
I'm sitting here, there's ideas of like, well, I think this could be applied in any number of places on planet Earth. I could be wrong. You might have a different strategy. So what is the future for SalesDojo? What are you going to focus on for the next year or 2 years?
100%. Couple things. Number one is kind of the no-brainer is we have started to work with more remote companies and remote students. So I love Silicon Slopes, and I'd say 60 to 70% of our students will even come from Utah. So a lot of our partners have wanted to hire in office, and they're like, hey, we need people in the Salt Lake, Utah Valley area. And guess what? We get a lot of students from that.
Yeah.
Which is super, super cool. But more than that, we also are starting to bring on more remote partners where their talent pool is really wide. And so working with remote students and remote partners, I think, is our biggest key to expansion and scale. And that's what we're really trending towards. And that's what we're really excited about, is to continue to crack into that realm. The second thing is we also really want to keep giving back to the community. And it's been cool to work with different universities and different elements of seeing that there's been a big push over the past couple of years to start teaching sales more in schools. Now, I know there's certain universities that have had sales programs or trying to make it into degrees and all things like that. I think it's awesome. It's also been cool to have them reach out and ask for perspective or advice in a tech specific type of world. And so I would love to continue to see the school education systems begin to adapt and change.
Mm-hmm.
Just how like with our Netflix or our Amazon Prime, like we can be very selective of what we want. I think that that's going to start being how the university systems begin to change. They're going to need to start getting more specific with what they're able to teach individuals. And so it's been really awesome to see some of those wheels start to turn of like, how can we adapt our curriculum to fit the needs of the students instead of just broad degrees? We're starting to get a little bit more niche. And that I think any way that we can be a part of helping adapt and specialize that university curriculum is like a big mission for me. I think it's a big industry that will be disrupted long term.
Yeah, I would agree. Well, it looks like you're not afraid to take a big bite out of that apple. So, yeah, it's been great watching from the outside, like somebody go through it, and I've been hearing about what you guys have been doing, and it's very simple and it's straightforward, and your website's very simple and straightforward, and it's based on merit and hunger and hustle, and generally in this world, if you've got those three things and you got a platform and a support structure, you're going to do a lot better in life. Thank you so much, Jaron, for joining us. Appreciate it. And the website is, for folks that are interested, both on the company and the individual side,
SalesDojo.com.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Cool.
so we have a students page, we have the employers page. You can kind of see how things work. We've also just started doing a lot more corporate training. So we've seen, yes, some companies want to scale their SDR team, but some companies just need to improve the skill set of their SDR team. So we train both new students, but we also train current teams now. So
Perfect.
it's been a blast, and we're excited to continue growing in different ways. So
Covering all those angles, that'll keep you busy. Thank you, Jaron.
Well, Garrett, you're a rock star, man. Thanks for having me.